and I know we've talked about this before, but where we do see religion, 90% of the population, 80% of the population, Christianity, that you're talking about Latin America there, or in Islam, in the Middle East and Africa and Asia. We're talking about societies that never that were never secular, and they have problems that religion has never solved for them. We're asked we think that religion we think of religion as some kind of bulwark against all these problems, but in the third world, demonstrable reality shows us that it is not. I mean, we talk about like Venezuela is the common talking point as far as like socialism goes, and that's like 80% of their country is Christian. It was not a bulwark that protected them. I think that's just a false idea that is not borne by the facts. It's not
I
reflected
think
in reality.
I think it's important to note the thing that Christianity is protecting. 'Cause Christianity is, I mean, it's deeply infused with secularism. It's meant to be a social moral guide, a personal moral guide, and so politically, you could get a lot of Christian socialists, and it probably fits very well with the kind of ethos Jesus had, to be honest. But then the problem I think we have is that the actual the social structures that were created by religion are breaking down, and the reason these social structures survived and proliferated is because they were good and healthy, like the nuclear family. These are good things. Turning the other cheek is a good thing. Forgiving people is a good thing. It
Do you
produces.
associate the nuclear family with religion, though? I mean, I
Well,
wouldn't do that.
without it, it seems to be breaking apart.
You think that's yeah? But
Really,
is that
I
is
don't,
that
I don't think.
religion or is that money?
Well,
Yeah, I don't think that's
is
religion.
the black community awash with money?
No, no, no. I'm saying yeah, but that's a different issue altogether.
Why?
Because isn't the argument with the lower income black community is that there's some sort of money welfare incentive to have children without a father, which I'm not sure that's true, but that's the argument. So yeah, it
I
would be money,
think
right?
I wouldn't say it's an incentive to have children, but what it is, it means that they don't have to take like financial responsibility for having children out of wedlock. I
Sure.
mean, before that, you would need social pressure in order to make men step up and be fathers and women step up and be mothers. Uh,
I think that the breakup, in particular, of the family in black communities has a lot more to do with the drug war, the focus of the drug war on the black communities, using that as a pretense to target their communities. And historically, that's, I mean, even been admitted to by the administrations that have perpetuated it. But I mean, I think that.
well, hang on a second. But that doesn't explain why 75%. I mean, are 75% of black men incarcerated?
Mhm.
Well,
For
I,
drugs. I mean, like
oh no, I
it's
mean,
such a
it's not
staggering
just,
problem.
yeah, it's not like a drug someone the drug war isn't, when you get incarceration rates increased, it's not the effect of the drug war is going to increase the incarceration rates even of non-drug offenses, because you're going to have assaults and murders that are drug related that aren't going to be recorded as drug offenses, but they're still going to be motivated by the drugs. You know what I mean?
Sure, but the reason I didn't get into all of this is because my dad would have kicked my ass, right? And he provides me a better example of how to lead a better life and how to be a good man. And I
Mm-hmm.
think that there are a lot of kids who are born out of wedlock who never meet their dads. And it's not because of drugs, it's because of a lack of ethic in the community that would have normally been reinforced quite strongly by religion that is just being fallen by the wayside.
yeah, but
Well,
isn't in America, at least in the black community, I thought they were far more religious than white people are statistically.
They are.
Statistically, they probably are. But I mean,
Yeah, but so then how does the lack of religion have anything to do with the problems that they're facing?
Well, these kids aren't going to church, are they?
I don't know. I have no clue.
I doubt they are.
I just pulled up, I found a Pew Research poll says in 2014, 73% of blacks believe in hell, and only 55% of whites believe in hell.
Yeah, but that doesn't mean that they're observant Christians.
Yeah, but it means that they have like the existential religious threat of hell over their heads. If the argument is that religion's a motivator for positive behavior, I would think believing in hell would, be a good factor.
I get the feeling that they can just persuade themselves they're not going to hell and the other guy's going to hell, to be honest.
Well, yeah, but anyone could do that about anything.
Well, sure, but I think I don't think that these, in Chicago when they're shooting each other in the streets, do you think any of them are thinking about hell?
No, but I don't think if they had more religion in their community, I don't think that would change, gangs shooting each other in the streets.
As somebody who grew up in Chicago, I could tell you that they would believe that they could just ask for forgiveness from God.
There you go.
There we go. But I mean, we're not saying that they've had strict religious upbringings or anything, are we? Because I mean, it doesn't really matter whether they believe they're going to hell or not. What we're talking about is their habituated behavior, and they're not habituated into, I guess, what we could just call civilized behavior. Like being a father, being a good person, going to work, getting a job, getting educated.
Right. My contention is that if we look at the stats and it shows that the black community is more religious than the white community, and I don't think that you could say that religion somehow has a positive effect necessarily, or even a positive correlation with promoting, pro-social behaviors that you're talking about.
I think it does. I think that when you have someone who you recognize to have moral authority, berating you for not being for being a deadbeat dad, I think that matters. I think that has an effect on the general. Even if you've got one guy who's being berated, other people are going to look around and think, well, shit, I don't want everyone looking at me like I'm a piece of shit. I may as well just go and make up with my baby mama and see if we can be a family or something, right? I mean,
well, I think it's much less a factor of being told not to be a deadbeat dad and societal factors that cause people to not be taking care of their kids because of other extenuating circumstances, like they get caught up in the justice system, in jail, or they end up having to work 2-3 jobs and they're not around for their kids or whatever. And I think that if you just tell people, look, you got to be a good dad and all that, I don't think that's enough.
No, you need moral authority to do it. You need to make them think, well, shit, if I don't do this, I'm going to suffer some severe penalties. You have to, and it's not just that. I mean, it's not just fatherlessness, obviously. And there's the other side of it, and I don't think we can say that black mothers are doing a great job either, right? So we can't just put all the blame on the fathers. And I mean, are the black mothers highly religious, going to church every week? Are they, I think there's been a general failure of ethics in that community.
But why are they different than the white community? What's going on? Like, that does seem like evidence of some kind of systemic racism, unless you believe that they're biologically, unless you think it's biological difference, like if you're a race realist or whatever. If not, then you have to fall back on environmental differences. You have to fall back on,
Sure. I mean, one of the environmental differences is the fact that you've got a massive lobby in the US that wants to blame the condition of the black community on racism. That's not them taking responsibility for their actions.
So, according to Pew, the black community attends church more than the white community.
Let me step in here because I disagree.
I'm sure
with
it does in the
Sargon.
South. I'm sure it does in the South.
Let me step in here for a second, because there's an explanation for all of that. Religion is a response to bad situations. Like the worse situation you live in, the more religiosity you're going to have. So the money comes first. So if you're in a destitute situation, you're going to be more religious. Religion is a way to cope with injustice, and if you're surrounded by injustice, you're going to become more religious. There's a book called Sacred and Secular where she completely maps this out in like 25 different countries. So my thing is just, if it is a response to those kinds of situations, aren't you doing a disservice to people by stripping them of something that they find useful, who are in the most dire situations imaginable? I mean, it's no mystery why people turn to religion as they get older and face death and that sort of thing.
Mm-hmm.
I agree 100% with that.
Is it useful then for them to have religion, to cope with, rather than a way to solve their actual problems?
Well, that's my question, because I'm talking about some form of secular replacement for religion, in the same way that like Christmas has become a secular replacement for a holiday that was once religious, about generosity. How do we infuse the good stuff of religion in a secular way? I'm not sure that we can.
Oh, no, you can, right? I think that I've been hammering the Aristotle drum, banging the Aristotle drum for a while, because it seems to me that in throwing out Christianity, you're kind of throwing out the baby with the bathwater. Because one of the things about Christianity is it is individualistic. It expects you to take responsibility for your immortal soul. Obviously, I don't believe in an immortal soul, but the practical upside is that this has been heavily influenced by Aristotle. And Aristotle had a really great framework for a person living a good and decent life and getting good results out of their life through their own habituation into good behavior. And that's something that Christianity, I think, is good at doing. And I think that when you see the videos of what's coming out of some of these communities, you think, well, okay, they need anything, anything at all. I don't even care what it is, but they need to be thinking to themselves. I mean, I saw a video the other day. These guys just standing in this, on the street, they're just watching, and this guy just walks past them, turns around, pulls out a gun and shoots two of them. And I'm like, how is this happening? What ethical standards is that guy operating by? And I think the answer is just none. And so any ethical standard would be better. Having something inculcated into them would be better than just thinking it's okay to go and shoot someone because I don't like them. Like, come on. This is hell. I'm looking at this, and this is absolute hell on earth. And there was another one where a guy and a woman holding a baby are just standing there. A car drives up, gets out, starts shooting. The woman holding the child dies. And I mean, there were a bunch of kids who were shot in Sakara, and I'm just thinking, fuck, man, bring on the theocracy. If it stops this, bring on the fucking theocracy. Seriously, kids are dying, man.
So
if that happened to my kid, I would go on a fucking crusade.
You're enunciating the point. Like, religion is an attempt to bring people in line. In secular society, we have institutions that have taken over for religion, to the point where we feel, religion is this vestigial tale that we no longer need. I wonder if that is actually the case.